No contract can prevent you from an employer who locks you in the room, turns the lights off, and threatens you. Didn't I already tell you? Didn't I already have a video where I literally explicitly said why you should not teach in Korea, especially at a hagwon? I did the whole 9 yards. I had all the evidence, all the proof as to why you should not teach in Korea. And yet, to this day, I still get DMs, I still get comments of people like,
please, please, I am trying to teach in Korea. Please, please, please.
and I'm like, ah, mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm. I honestly did not even plan to do another video about teaching Korea, but I actually got a message from my previous employer, so the first director, who was like, I just want to let you know that we're gonna sue you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We saw the video, and if there's any proof of defamation, if there's any proof that shows that you are ruining the business, we will take you to court and we will report you to immigration. And it's like, girl, I don't care.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't care.
I did not do anything illegal. I didn't even post everything that happened. That's what's so crazy. I'm very, very proud that the video that I did create encouraged people to just do their due diligence and really figure out if teaching there is something that they really want to do. If you don't need to do it, don't do it. It's just all the more reason why people don't come out to talk about why they don't teach in Korea, because it's funny. After that video, I had a lot of popular YouTubers commenting on my video or reaching out to me and being like, you're so brave for coming out and saying that, because the same kind of situation happened to me, but I never felt like I could speak up. And I'm like, whoa, I was watching you before I moved to Korea. Like, I was inspired by you, and you're telling me that you did not feel like you could speak up. Obviously, not to judge them at all, but I'm like, whoa, you just never know. You just never know. You could be looking up to these people and you're like, wow, their lifestyle is so good. And like, I am so inspired by what they do and like everything they've accomplished. Meanwhile, they're also fighting for their lives, and they also feel like they can't speak up about, abuse that they might have experienced, or just terrible situations. Yep. Terrible situations that they might have gone through abroad, because they are worried about getting sued. They're worried about getting kicked out of the country that they've established their life in.
I've got good and bad news. Good news, we got your payment, buddy. Bad news, they gave you life. Sayonara.
I say all this to say, despite that, I still actively get comments. I don't want to say it's annoying, but I'm just like, you did not see me working and you still think that's the type of situation that you want to be in? What are we talking about here? And it's crazy because despite how bad that first place was, I don't know if it was as bad as the second place. Like the first place, they had us working, okay? Out here farming, couldn't go to the bathroom, just dealing with all sorts of rubbish, as we saw in that previous video. I mentioned at the end of that video that I had not even talked about what I went through in the second school. That job really cooked me. I can tell you right now, right now, right now. I really put my foot down when it came to where my next position would be. I was doing so many interviews and turning down multiple jobs. I was traveling in various like provinces across Korea to these job interviews. I was doing everything, working with recruiters, working directly with schools, listening to word of mouth and getting recommendations for other schools. I was really doing my part to make sure that I did not repeat the same mistakes as the first school. And honestly, I didn't repeat the same mistakes. In fact, the situations were worse. Like it was completely different problems at the second school that you just cannot prepare for. So when I finally came across a second school that I signed with, everything seemed perfect. I was finally like, oh, I can breathe. I've done my due diligence. I've done all the interviews. I've asked many questions. I've met people like in the area. I really tried my best. Okay. So, no, I don't want anyone saying like, oh, you could have done this. Blah, 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 blah. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I had interviewed with director. And so this director was about like in his early 30s. and he was like Korean something, like I think Korean American. And I was able to have a lot of conversations with him where we were on the same page, especially about what our workplace should be like. It was an exciting opportunity for me because he had his own school. So the reason why it was exciting for me was he was opening up a new academy. So as I was interviewing, the school was still being built. Everything was, finally coming together. And I had done research on the first school and it had amazing reviews, like only positive reviews. A lot of people saying that they felt very comfortable in his space. And so I was like, oh, finally. I was also like a program director as well. So it felt very like, I'm doing my big one. Yep, I'm elevating. Unfortunately, it all just went downhill. Not because of the students this time. The students were fantastic. Literally only because of my director being a freak, basically. It goes downhill when he decided to start teaching at I say my, it's not actually mine, but like my school as well. Oh my days. That's when he really showed his ass. That man showed his ass real bad. I learned very quickly that he has anger issues. And I don't enjoy listening to a man yell. It's scary. It's uncomfortable. It's scary for me. So imagine the students sobbing. He starts teaching at my academy, and when he comes to my academy, I'm getting more older students. It would be like older men, and it would just be me and an older man at like 8:30 p.m. And be asking things like, "Do you have a boyfriend?" And I'm like, "That's not part of the lesson." Honestly, I was really not feeling him. Like he just had to go, and he was so very influential, obviously. And I remember telling my employer, and I was like, "I don't really feel safe with this guy. I don't feel comfortable with him." And he was like, "See, I know you really want to work in marketing, right? And honestly speaking, because you've been in Korea and like you don't really have a lot of marketing opportunities, I don't really think that you'll have the chance to work in marketing. So this is your opportunity. This is your chance to network, queen. Like you just need to take it easy. You just need to relax with him. It's a night class." So listen, I don't know what he was implying, but he was like, "Don't mess this opportunity up for yourself." Like, do you think this is Hollywood? This is literally in Korea, okay? Just for a potential music marketing job. Like that is just, what do you think I am? That to me was already very uncomfortable. It was mostly icky during the day when he would come and he would just be screaming at the students, absolutely cussing them out, calling them all sorts of nasty words in English and Korean, just absolutely dragging their shit. Like I, I've heard yelling before, obviously, but this was like I'm in a completely different classroom and our walls would be shaky. Just how loud you would just hear like, yes, and it's like, whoa, I would have to stop my whole lesson just to calm my class down and be like, yo, guys, take it easy. You guys are just going to have to believe that it was as bad as it was. Like, I remember sending snippets of it to my friends and they were like, Tiwa, where are you? Like, wherever you are, you need to get out. And I'm like, I'm at work. And this man is screaming, telling these kids, "You're such a piece of shit. You think you're gonna excel at life like this?" Like just absolutely going ballistic on them. And I'm like, yeah, this is a nightmare. He tore them up so bad, like all of the students were sobbing. Like, when kids are so scared that they start screaming, that was what was happening. So I'm obviously just like, wow, this is awful. I actually really hate where I am right now. Like the way that he would just like be slamming the desk, you would hear him like just but then I feel like what really sealed the deal after dealing with these back-to-back situations with this freak, I eventually told my sister. I told my sister what was going on, and she was like, yeah, you gotta go. You gotta go. I know that you're worried about getting a job in Canada, and I have very valid concerns because if you are in Canada, you know how bad the economy has been these last few years. And so I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, I came to Korea for a job to make some money, for opportunities. So, what am I gonna do once I get back? That sunk cost fallacy was getting me. It had me in a chokehold. It had me like this, like that. So she was like, I understand, but the place that you're at right now doesn't even seem like it's safe. And I was like, you're right, you're right, you're right. And I agree. I basically had an ultimatum with him. I was like, you told me that if we had reached capacity at this job, that you would increase my salary and also hire a new teacher so that he wouldn't have to teach here anymore. We would get a new teacher and we would go back to how it was before. At this point, within like the 2-3 months I was there, we had already reached capacity. Everybody wanted to be in my class. I had a very good reputation in that city. All the parents were like, we want to work with her. She's very calm. She's very good at what she does. And I absolutely am. I gave him the ultimatum, like, if you don't basically get the fuck out of here, if you don't get out of here and if you don't increase my salary, I'm leaving. And he obviously did not take that well in the slightest. He did not take that well. He was like, let me get back to you because I feel like what you're doing. I feel like what you're doing. And so I'm like, oh, that was not how an employer should react to an employee asking for, incentives or asking for a change or asking for an improvement in their workplace. That's not how they should do it. Maybe a few days after I gave him the ultimatum, he comes into my classroom at like 9:50 and he tells whatever student was there, he's like, go home. And I'm like, ooh, what's going on here? What are we doing? What are we doing? It's nighttime. Why are you here? You're not here on this day. Why are you here? And as the student leaves, he closes the door, he stands in front of it, and turns off the lights. I'm like, oh, what's happening? Ladies and gentlemen, what is happening? This is not it right here. This is really not it. I'm like packing up my stuff, but he just turns off the light. So we're both frozen. There's no movement. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, I thought about what you're saying. Honestly speaking, I don't think you can leave. I don't think I can let you leave. You really do help the reputation of the school, and I can't lose you, especially not now as we just opened up the school and like his voice is raising and I'm out here getting yelled at in the dark. I can't even see homeboy and he's screaming at me. So I'm very frazzled. I'm like, you just caught me lacking. Like I was by the board wiping away the notes on the board. My phone is in my purse and I was not expecting him to pull up on me. At the end of it, he's like, I'm sorry to say this, but I just cannot let you go. You're not leaving. And then he leaves. All right. So I finished packing up barely. I don't even think I really did. I just took my purse. I walk home. I immediately call my sister. I tell her what's happening. I was like, just in case anything happens to me, because obviously he got my apartment. He can easily I'm sure he could just pop right in. This is the update. And she's like, don't even worry about it. Don't even worry. I'm telling daddy. So I was like, oh. And if you're Nigerian, I was like, no, why would you do that? Don't tell him. Please, please don't tell him. I don't want him to be stressed out. But she told him immediately told him what was going on. And my dad sends me a voice recording at like 3 a.m. And he's like,
Tiwa, if you are in danger, you need to leave today.
So I was like, shit. They're right though. They're right. But I'm thinking like, there's so much that I need to do if I were to leave. Like there's so much that I need to pack up. I need to get like, you got to do so. Obviously people say do a midnight run, but like, I got to get my pension back. I have so much here. How am I supposed to pack? Blah, blah, blah. On top of that, I couldn't even get my plane ticket. I could not afford it. So I told my sister, like, I would like to leave actually because I'm actually scared to come into work every day now. It makes me feel very uncomfortable and does not listen to my requests about me being uncomfortable with some of my adult male students. So she was like, all right, chill out. She immediately bought my plane ticket. God will bless her forevermore for that because she got me out of there. Shout out to my sister for getting me out of that country. She buys my plane ticket. She's like, I have it for this date. Make sure you get all your stuff in order because you got to go by this date. So I'm immediately like going to the pension office. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, just trying to wrap everything up. I'm like slowly, because you have limits to how much money you can remove from your bank account to your Canadian account. I'm doing all that. I'm like setting everything up. I'm like, we got to go. Once I entered Canada, for whatever reason, I could not access my Kakao Talk anymore, but I saw the notifications and I had like 40 messages. And I know it's from him. I know he sent me messages. I just know it. But I'm very thankful that I could not see it because I'm sure he was cooking me. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Like, such an unsafe situation, constantly putting me in uncomfortable positions despite me saying it's not something that I want to do, not listening to any of my requests. And it just felt like I was in fight or flight mode every single day. And I'm like, for what? I don't care about the prospect of, potentially earning more money and potentially blah, 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 blah. It means nothing to me if my current situation is not good. And that's how it was. My current situation was not good. And I'm very glad that I was able to get out. As my life has improved by the grace of God since I've left Korea, I've learned so much from it. It was still like something that I'm very thankful that I spent a year living there because I learned so much about myself. But regardless, despite all that, I still to this day do not encourage people to teach in Korea. And I was honestly not even expecting to do another video about this. But considering that I just still get so many messages where people are like, oh, I still want to try it. Or what about public school? Or what about this? What about that? God gave you free will. And God bless you for that. You can do whatever you want to do. I'm just saying, I would not recommend it. If you really want to teach abroad, maybe look at other countries, maybe look into getting like more licenses that maybe will allow you to have better paying opportunities. But if you ask me about working and living in Korea, I will always say no. I stand by that. I will stick by that, especially just from my experiences at two completely different academies, two different situations, two different age groups that I was teaching. And regardless, such an unpleasant experience. I was doing research, I was looking, I was like very vigilant. I really did try my best. I asked around. I even got people to review my second contract. And still, no contract can prevent you from an employer who locks you in the room, turns the lights off, and threatens you. So, in terms of teaching in Korea, I would never recommend it. Please, 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 please don't ask me about teaching in Korea anymore. Please. I have so many videos when I first started where I was like, here's how you can do it. I even have a blog post with a full article of like links to do, like links to click on and like resources to use if you really want to go there. It's still out there. It's still out there. But I just say do your research. But I hope to transition from talking about the mess that I experienced in Korea. But yes, that is the video. Thank you so much for watching and for tuning in. And I hope this was helpful. But thank you again for watching. And please let me know what type of content you want to see from me moving forward. Bye bye.